that answer, they're going to give you a lot of money.
I want a lot of money, actually.
No, they're incredible, man. You think about what KD's able to do at his size, shoot from outside, shoot from the inside, get a rebound, dribble up, make a play for each other. But last night, 38 points, mid-range game was popping from everywhere, creating that space. I do think the size difference makes a huge difference. He's 7 feet, shooting jump shots like a two-guard, makes him unguardable. Then you add the rest of his friends. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green getting a triple-double, Iguodala. And then on top of that, defensively, they can switch anything on defense, and they got the length to do so.
And the defensively, usually if you were starting a lineup that size, unless KD was going to be, as he was at the beginning of the season, peak rim defender, you would be at a deficit. But what we've seen these playoffs is the Draymond Green that I once upon a time called the most important player on this team. Back before they had KD, when Steph was unanimous MVP, I still thought Draymond was the most important guy because he unlocks that death lineup. I know yesterday afternoon he didn't get double figures in anything, but he dominated that basketball game. And the intensity that he brings, while I know it can be grating to the opponent, it lifts his teammates. And it makes his teammates better defensively as a whole. And so as long as he isn't just a negative, forget a zero, a negative on offense, he's so deadly for them, which is why you just have to hold on. You just can't let go of the rope against that lineup, right? You just can't let them blow you out. That's what they did against New Orleans. They won that game in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, they have so many shooters in the lineup, but the thing that lineup presents is you don't have to be hot. That's what was yesterday. Steph, he wasn't on fire. Klay was just normal, but KD. And that's what they have that no other team can have. Houston doesn't have that. We know LeBron. LeBron can't take 5 minutes off. We know what's going to happen to the Cavs. But that consistency that they always have one of the league's best scorer, I think that presents a lot of problems for the rest of the NBA.
No, it's incredible because you think about their playoffs this year. You know, Steph came off the bench after missing about 2 or 3 months. Super hot that game. KD's been great all playoffs long. And you barely talk about Klay. And we know Klay can go off for 30 points in a quarter.
Quietly.
Quietly. And Draymond Green sitting there getting triple-doubles left and right. So they're very hard to guard, very hard to defend. We're all looking forward to the next round and seeing them playing against Houston, but very tough to defend.
Steve Kerr's going with this lineup for Game 5. Do you see him doing this the rest of the way?
I could see that. I mean, why not? The way KD's playing defense, I think he was top 3 or 4 in block shots this year. Draymond being their anchor, emotional leader. I could definitely, and then you also bring on, we're not even talking about Sean Livingston can guard 2 or 3 positions as well. They have a lot they can go with, but the difference is against Houston, Capella.
Yes.
You got, I think JaVale McGee may play a part in that series to try to go off of Capella.
If you're going to play this lineup, if you're going to play against this lineup, pardon me, you have to dominate them on the glass.
Yes.
Like, that's where Capella, I know Anthony Davis is an amazing, he's a much better player than Capella, but he's not as good a defender as Capella is, and he's not as good of a rebounder as Capella is. And go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think they can play that lineup against Houston because they do the high pick and roll. That's the way they start their offense, with a high pick and roll with Harden. And if you do that, if you put Draymond on him, you put KD on him, they're going to get alley-ooped on the whole time.
Right.
And Harden coming off of that, like, I don't think that's the most effective way. I think they need to go with the big.
The ball too, and the way CP passes at Capella as well. You saw that last night as well.
When it comes to Houston, the reality is, for the Warriors, when that 5-man unit's out there, there is some amount, and I know athletes would hate to hear this, but there's some amount of luck that has to come into it. You have to hope Iggy and Dre are off. Because if those guys they are going to get
I don't think that's luck.
No.
I mean, over the course of their career, they have shown times where they cannot shoot the basketball.
For sure. I meant luck in the opposite direction, meaning if they're on, that's unlucky, and then there's no solving it. If it's a game where Iggy and Dre are hitting their shots, because they are going to get wide open looks. If they're hitting them, Van Gundy says it on the broadcast all the time. You give Draymond that shot, and if he makes it, you lose. Like, and it shouldn't be that simple, but when you've got 2 guys in Steph and KD that will finish their careers as top 20 all-time guys, another no-doubt Hall of Famer in Klay, all just as offensive guys. You only got 5 guys to defend. Like, there's only so many answers you can try to solve out for.
Right, but the other great thing about those 2 guys, even when their shot's not going, they can get the rebound and push it themselves and create for other people because they're going to drive the hoop, the ball to the basket, make you collapse. And if you don't collapse, obviously they got a layup or a dunk. But if you do collapse, they kick it out to 3 of the best shooters we've ever seen.
We waited so long, well, the last couple weeks of the regular season and the first playoff round to get this Warriors team healthy so that we could say, The Warriors at their strongest, how do they match up against the Rockets at their strongest as well? And now it looks like those two are on a collision course to face each other. How do you like those two?
It's going to be a great series, I think. I think Houston's got more than what people think. Obviously, the Warriors are the champs, and they're incredible, and we love them as basketball fans. They're fun to watch. I think it goes 6 or 7. I got the Warriors coming out of it, especially with Steph being healthy now. But I'm interested to see how Houston does. You know, who do you guys got?
I'm going with Houston.
Okay.
I think Houston is the better team. I think what Golden State will bring out the best in Houston. I believe their ability to be able to close a couple different ways compared to just having Harden, having CP on the ball late in games, and having him be ball dominant.
And I know the storyline going into that series is going to be KD, Steph, Clay, James Harden, CP3. But the guy we mentioned earlier is a key. Clint Capella, who was playing the best 2-week stretch or 3-week stretch of basketball he's ever played. If you remember, Clint Capella's the guy KD took a shot at earlier this year when he said Capella's job's easy. Like he's got, well, Capella last night was the best player on the court for Houston. There's been a couple games this postseason where he's been the second leading scorer. He's got to be extraordinary. He's got to be an A+ in that series. Listen, 65 wins means something to me. Home court advantage means something to me. I've said Houston for the last few months. I'm not changing it, but man, oh man, the Warriors look terrifying.
I think also the number of bodies that they can throw at KD that New Orleans can't do.
Correct.
Luke Richard Belamunte. We can throw him out just the way I threw his name out there, just like that. But the number of different bodies, the number of different bodies, 6'9" to 6'7" to 6'10", I believe that's the difference for Houston.
Let me just ask you one quick follow-up real quick before we advance in the next round. Game 5, New Orleans. Yeah. Would you ask Anthony Davis to guard KD?
I think it's going to be tough, man. I think KD has a lot of stuff on the offensive side. I mean, at this point, why not? Nothing else.
I mean, he guarded him a big portion of the second half of that game.
Why not?
I mean, what did that do? KD just put a little more arc on his jacket.
Absolutely.
All right, Carlos, we'll see you a little bit later on in the show. Coming up is LeBron's game in all-time.